Becoming a first adopter has quite a few trade-offs, and in the case of the GR Corolla, that is especially so. If you don't know, I bought a GR Corolla in 2023. It came with all the packages that were available then, and I've loved the car. But for 2024, they've released the Premium Edition. It's the same dog as before, but there are a couple of changes, like parking sensors. And it serves as the middle child between the core and the circuit. So you have things like glossy plastic versus the base matte finish for the front and rear accents. And for 24, you can add things like lowering springs and performance dampeners, along with a spoiler that now apparently costs $900, which is unfortunate because it really rounds out the look nicely. But most importantly, the sticker price of the Premium is $41,000 after destination. And that actually means something. At the start of 2023, the norm was $5,000 or $10,000 over MSRP. But now avoiding markup is pretty attainable, with the average probably being a little bit above depending on your region. And the main reason why this would get slammed in comment sections by dude bros was for that price gouging. And I get it, it's frustrating. It's like seeing a tantalizing cheeseburger for $5, but after you put your card in, it turns out to be $15, and then they flip the screen around for a tip and add BS paint protection on it without your consent. With inventory now fairly stable, that is no more. In fact, currently this GR Corolla is available without a markup at Royal South Toyota in Bloomington, Indiana, the friendly, community-focused dealership that has let me test drive countless new and used cars over the years. If you're in the market, check them out and tell them thanks for me. On the outside, all GR Corollas come with LED lighting, including fog lights, along with proximity entry. The Premium Edition adds one important thing to the interior, and that is the Circuit Edition seats. But after driving around in them, I'm not super impressed. I do prefer the suede inserts, and the leather trim and accenting definitely looks nicer than what you'll find in the core. But the seat bottom is a bit more firm, and there's still no lumbar adjustment. Regardless, they should be agreeable for most. They're great for back road driving without becoming a nuisance for day-to-day life. I could just use a little bit more thigh support. It's not really that premium. And the same goes for the rest of the interior. There's no different accenting here on the door cards from the core. There's no more contrast stitching. It is very much a base Corolla in here, with a few nice additions like the full digital gauge cluster, a mechanical handbrake that will also disconnect the rear driveline when you rip it in motion. And then we also have the same cool GR steering wheel and all of the optional packages that used to be available for the core, which means you'll have a wireless charger that doesn't really work, a JBL sound system that's just okay and does not have a subwoofer, and heated seats and a heated steering wheel. While you can now buy one from a third party, still missing from the options list is a center console, which really ought to be standard because storage in here is limited. In fact, I actually use the cargo underfloor to hold most of my stuff. I think the only area where I'm seeing an improvement here actually has more to do with it being a 2024. Even compared to when I bought my car new, there's slightly better panel fitment, both on the outside with the door trim and on the inside. The doors don't rattle at all. And on the road, the plastic chatter is kept to a minimum. Of course, my own car got worse with miles, but I am seeing better initial quality here. In the back, it's business as usual. You have more leather usage, which is nice. It makes it easier to clean, but this is the same space. If you have tall adults in the front, you better hope they show mercy because legroom is tight. Headroom is okay. I really haven't had any issues lugging around my friends, but if this is gonna be a primary family vehicle, there are better options in the performance segment. The same thing goes for the cargo area. When you have the rear seats up, it's hilariously short because they actually put the battery underneath the floor. There's no spare tire, it's just a fix-a-flat kit, but at least that high level does mean that you have a flat floor when you lower the seats. And it's a commendable space. Some may get flustered and call this a cheap box interior. And they would be kind of right, but that's not where your $41,000 is going. If you want something more premium, go spend more money and get a Golf R or an Integra Type S. Your cash is spent on performance. So underneath is a charismatic 1.6 liter turbocharged inline 3-cylinder, making 300 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque. That is mated to a close ratio 6-speed manual transmission only. I've gotten this to 60 in under 5 seconds while shifting twice. Even though it might not be as quick at higher speed to the quarter mile, this can still barely beat out a Golf R and a Civic Type R. These are no joke. And for 2024, on-road improvements are minimal. Some of the ducting was altered to improve high-speed stability and brake cooling. They also tweaked some of the mounting point bolts for the steering rack and rear subframe, added aluminum tape to the inside of the bumpers, and called it a day. I was hoping they'd include some venting to prevent the all-wheel drive system from overheating on the track, but that is not the case. So this is the same car, and that is a good thing. On top of making this quick, the engine has character and comes alive above 3,000 RPM when boost kicks in. Lag is noticeable, but response is still good. You get a little bit of the turbo blow-off valve, and what I really like about this gearbox is that it's easy to shift fast. It might not provide the best, most mechanically satisfying feedback. There's some nice resistance in there as it thunks into each gear, but I mean, driving around town, it just kind of feels like a Corolla. The clutch is numb and has a medium weight to it. Thankfully, it bites slow, making it pretty easy to feather and drive around town. There's an anti-stall to help keep you from embarrassing yourself. You can also enable automatic rev matching to make your life easier on a track. And while some have complained about pedal placement for heel-toe downshifts, it's actually nice for people with large feet. Bringing it up to higher speed, that's when the GR Corolla really gets to flaunt its insane grip. The tiny 3-cylinder pulls in such a linear fashion. Yes, it's heavily boosted, but it doesn't die out until its 7,000 RPM redline, something I do quite often in my personal car, not something I will be doing in this one. The steering is extremely precise, and in the sport mode, it's well weighted. Now, the steering feel is present, and there is a nice buildup in weight, but it's not as natural and playful as something like the GR86. Even the new Civic Si I just drove was a little more engaging on the same road, but truthfully, its competitors from VW and Hyundai trail Honda in that regard too. The all-wheel drive system also has the ability to send a maximum of 70% of torque to the rear. It doesn't actually hold it at that split, and you can tell it still feels like a front bias car, but it is more apt to rotate, adding to the adrenaline, and you can really use the brakes and the throttle to get the car to do what you want, whether you're on track or not. The Premium also comes standard with the Performance Pack, which grants front and rear limited slip differentials, allowing the car to claw its way through any corner or weather condition. One of the strongest attributes of the GRC is its stability, even if it could have sharper turn-in or a little less body roll at high speed. There may be performance cars that are more engaging, but in terms of raw confidence, for the price, this is fantastic. But after a year of ownership, I would be lying if I told you it's the perfect enthusiast daily, because for a lot of people, it's probably going to be a little bit too hard edge. Bringing it up to 65 miles per hour, you're going to be revving 2,700 RPM-ish. Tire noise is prevalent, and after like 10, 12,000 miles, they do get noisier. And just like last year, driving a GR Corolla on a torn up back road is going to have a lasting effect on your mental health. While it's nice that there is a little more sidewall here than in most of its foes, and the car always feels poised, most pavement details are translated directly to your body, whether the imperfections are small or large. And it does not come with any sort of adaptive dampening to soften things up when you don't want it to be as hard. The GR Corolla at its core has a very basic principle, and forgiveness just isn't part of that. If you're looking for something more sensible, all around, a car like the new WR Rex is a much better pick. But that can't match the capability and character of the little Toyota. It's also still a Toyota Corolla, so it's reasonably safe. It comes with the brand's latest active safety tech that works well with blind spot monitoring standard too. It's also approachable. While the dashboard is a little raised, the windows are pretty big, the car feels small, which makes me feel even more comfortable pushing this. While it's too early to call on reliability, most of the first model year issues had dealt around some cheapness, things that I've definitely experienced in my own car, with a few rattles coming from the doors or the screen. Sometimes the drivetrain makes some unrefined noises. A few people had a self-resolving check engine light related to a misfire, and overseas, these have actually withstood modifications pretty well. The GR Corolla Premium is an extreme hot hatch with a few nice amenities and a few compromises. The back seat is small, but as a secondary family vehicle, or if you don't have kids, it can work. There's also a similar story for the cargo area. The ride is harsh, but tolerable depending on where you live and how tough you are. It does require premium fuel. However, I have no issues averaging 28 miles per gallon. Maybe something like the Civic Type R is more practical, and it is a better track car, but that doesn't come with insane traction that allows this to be usable on any road at any time. And that's really the beauty about these rally-inspired hot hatches. This kind of car is meant to be an econo box that is absolutely mad. And for 2024, now that you can actually buy one for the price that it's advertised at, you don't have to deal with first model year quality control quirks, and you receive a couple of extra features with the Premium. I think the GR Corolla has just about realized its full potential, and I'm a little jealous. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like to help me take on the maniacal YouTube algorithm. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more fun, detailed car content without fluff. Consider becoming a channel member if you want an additional podcast and to help me take this to another level. I'll catch you in the next one.